In this Sons of the Forest video, I will be doing many things, but one of the first things I'm going to get down to is working on my tower. I'm a bit stymied about building the tower at the moment, mostly because I've had I suppose 2.5 hang gliders despawn on me. So I can't play with my tower the way that I want it to. It should be something that I can work with in the future, but for the moment it frustrates my creative efforts a little bit having to spawn in a hang glider every time I want to test it. Something else I decided to do was to build some gardening containers, I suppose. I have heard through other Sons of the Forest players that Virginia and Kelvin will wander less far if you have foods for them to be able to eat at your base. So I planted these to see how this mechanic works further. Blueberries, blackberries, and a bit of aloe. I'm pretty happy with this for now. I think, however, in the future I should make room to have maybe one of each. In the meantime, I decided to work on a couple of log sleds. They just added these at the end of May 2023. And I am really grateful to have log sleds back. And Kelvin's grateful too. He's a good egg, that Kelvin. He's lucky I haven't killed him. Something else they recently added is an entirely new building tool to the Sons of the Forest franchise. And they're called stones, I believe. It could be rocks, but I believe it's stones. And they look like flat bits of, not shale, but sedimentary rock. I have heard that you can put them into a log sled, which is lovely. Apparently the bodies of your fallen enemies cannot go in log sleds yet, but perhaps in the future. So once I located some of these stones, I proceeded to decide to fill up a log sled so I could build something. And I was visited by a human centipede, also known as the flipping asshole. Extremely grateful that this didn't occur at my base like it usually does. But I knew I didn't have much on me for ammunition, and I had a suspicion it would not go away without being dealt with. Luckily, Virginia was willing to help. During combat, now, while I'm editing this, I've been watching this little bastard, trying to figure out what its deal is. What is it going to aggro on? So I can strategically figure out where I should be to use a bow if I have ammunition, or to somehow safely attack it. Maybe not safely, but to attack it without the risk of losing so much armor. Armor is so hard to get that the resource to reward ratio is it's barely worth it. So I try not to lose any armor, and more recently I found myself not even making armor. This creature, for instance, will only give me one piece of creepy armor, which is an excellent armor to be sure, but one piece. One hit from him can take as many as 3 pieces of armor off. The battle went about as I expected, and I ran out of arrows. So I built a quick Molotov and aimed my shot, and I got it. Wait for the fire to burn down so I don't catch myself on fire and lose more armor that way. Then I'll take my rocks back to my base so I can work on my project that I haven't talked about yet. Actually, at this point playing, I hadn't even decided what that project was going to be. First, I had to deal with this fellow. I was pretty happy with how quickly this battle went down. To be fair, Virginia gets a shot in. But I did pretty good. Didn't hardly take any damage. The Fingers enemy, much like the flipping asshole, is... I'm still in the studying phase of figuring out what kind of... how their AI works. It's smart, though, and no mistake. It has not stopped impressing me. So this new building material works thusly. Put down a square, similar to a log. Pretty much everything about these rocks is similar to the way the logs work, with the one exception being you can't really build ramps with it. You have to incorporate logs into the build to make ramps. I've got a bit of a gap here, as you can see, and I believe it's because I chose to build on top of my spike wall, and I stand by that move. I think it's a good defensive move to keep the spikes from breaking. I'm not sure if when you go through and use the repair tool, if you can repair the spikes along with the structure that you're repairing, but perhaps. Won't know unless I try, and until they add some sort of health bar for structures to see when you're building, we may never know unless you use that little cheaty code that lets you see the health of the structure. I've seen some of those videos that show the health, and stones do appear to be stronger from what I recall. I don't think it really matters. The real takeaway thing is the bigger the structure, the more hit points it has. So, build big structure, make strong foundation, defend well. I decided, since I was cutting trees for my, I guess, watchtower wall, I would finish this other watchtower up on the hill. I don't know if I will actually make a whole bunch of them as I had previously thought. Now that they've added the tree regrowth, a huge bonus for me in my build because of where I've decided to do my thing. It allows me access to trees that I don't have to build an enormous logging system that spans the entire damn island. So that's cool. That was going to be frustratingly hard, I think. I still may expand it a bit, because that could be fun. I think expanding across the bay toward the golf course endgame area might be fun. There's some real shallow water on the other side of the bay that I could probably make use of. We'll see. But that watchtower is finished, and now I can finish my platform, I suppose. Such a simple structure. But I'm really happy with it. The first few customers I've had, it's behaved as intended. And that's about the best I can hope for, with no particular goal in mind. Fuck that baby. I was about a half a log cart away from finishing my little wall platform when I got my first customers. They apparently didn't give a shit that the open for business sign wasn't out yet. These sorts of customers rarely do care about that. In fact, they are so self-indulgent. You'll see this one right here. Yep, he thinks he can actually hit me. Luckily, Virginia, she works out back, came forward and told him what a piece of shit he was, and then bodily removed him. And then I sniped him in the head, because why not? All this footage has been taken over the course of 9 weeks. It was about 2.5 hours of footage. I'm planning on not taking a break from the tower, but I'm definitely not going to focus on it until the hang glider issue is fixed. I am planning on systematically going through the caves. What I would like to do before that, I believe, is to really prepare myself with stock. I'm thinking like every raw item, collectible item that I can get, like circuit boards, I would like to have an entire shelf dedicated to that. So that would be 3 or 4 stacks of whatever it is that I'm hoarding. I have memories of those hordes I had to deal with in the other caves, and I can do it. I would just rather be prepared. In the other caves, I was prepared with provisions. I couldn't really bring enough ammunition to kill everything. If I had had full stacks of circuit boards, full stacks of alcohol, and then the bombs and Molotov cocktails on top of my arrows and whatever ammunition I could gather for the guns, that would have been better. Speaking of Molotov cocktails, here's the first official customer. He doesn't really care about the wall at first. I missed my Molotov shot, as expected. It was going to be a long shot, getting it just right as he was running forward. Right here. Ran out of arrows. Didn't want to make any, oh no. So I got cocky, and I pay for it. Yep, I deserve that. Flat on my ass. Yep, thank you, sir. Your foot in my face. And then I back into my own Molotov fire. But, luckily, Virginia's my girl, and she takes care of me.
Wow.